22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
And are not afraid to say it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You tuned into another home edition of Black Questions Presents the People Before Politics radio show. I am your host, AJ Woodson. We have Lorraine Lopez in the place to be. We have Dr. Bob, place to be. We have Damon Cage in the place to be. We got a full house. We got a full house. Including Damon and Bob and Lorraine are all on at the same time. What's up, people?
Wow.
What's happening? Where's Bob? Where'd Bob go?
I'm here.
Stop writing, bro.
There you go.
No,
I realized when I looked at myself, I was like, you didn't get ready.
So we have exactly 2 days left of the crazy election season that we have ever had in my lifetime. Chances are we might not know who won for a week or so, maybe longer. Who knows?
Well, Trump said if he thinks he's in the win, he's announcing that he's winning.
He already announced.
He already said if it looks like that he's in the lead, he won. So prepare for civil unrest.
Well, yeah. Well, whoever get 270, if it ain't him, then he can say what he want to say. But civil unrest is definitely something to look forward to. In Texas today or yesterday, there was a Biden bus on the highway, and there had to be pickup trucks with Trump flags surrounding the bus like they were trying to run it off the highway.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I said that's we have to look. That's what we have to look forward to. And I think I heard Biden say they were wherever he was staying, they were just driving around the block, beeping the horn like for hours where he was staying at. So yeah, it's gonna be ugly.
Also too, that reverend, the reverend with the braids. He brought hundreds of people. They were marching to the polling place, and they got tear gassed, arrested, and attacked for no reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw the black lady get tear gas, man, in the wheelchair.
In the wheelchair, yeah, and children, and then the police department, the sheriff said it's not true.
I don't know how he can say it's not true.
Yeah. So
I don't know if you guys could see it, but I shared.
We're about to see in a minute. See, I saw it come up.
Hey, yo, Bob,
Trump
how'd you do that,
has a premature victory.
How'd you do that,
Yo,
Bob?
As my mother would say, does Macy's sell gimbals? No.
Nobody can share that.
Yeah, everyone can do it.
Yo,
Hey, Bob, how'd you do that?
Damon, with this program, everyone can share their screen. It comes up as a different window on the in the thing, and I just have to add the stream. So if you to come up as a separate window, and I will put it up.
Easiest for too long. Screen share works best on a good computer. Okay.
I don't figure that out, Lorraine. Didn't you have some? Lorraine had an announcement or something that the show was going to do around the holidays or something, or you had an announcement that you wanted to make?
Yes, people that are
about
listening.
a giveaway. Okay.
I got. Well, you're on delay, AJ. All right, yo. I got an announcement for our people in Mount Vernon and Yonkers. People Before Politics radio show. Lorraine Lopez talked about they did with it, and then AK Jones. We'll be giving out turkeys for Thanksgiving. So hit us up if you need a turkey, our people, and we're gonna hook you up.
Absolutely, and
that's great.
We're prepared to do low distribution as well. That's what's going to happen, Lorraine. Yeah. So,
yes. We got an order of a bunch of turkeys coming in.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I look forward to it. I look forward to participating.
Okay. Because I know last year we had a couple of people from. You're fired. Yeah, that's true.
You're talking about Trump leaving the premature message.
Yeah.
You need to send a counter message. Not so fast, buddy. You're fired. 8-minute work. It's coming up. Something's coming up.
Oh, okay.
Is that Dr. Bob?
Yeah.
No, that's Damon.
Oh, that's
Damon. You want me to tell what? You know how it's Damon? Because he's missing the arm of his glasses. My glasses got both arms on it. Couldn't be me.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see how this works. Oh, this is great. This is great.
Yes. And everybody can. So what Bob, if Bob and Lorraine or one of our guests want to do it, you're an administrator like I am. If you look in the waiting room, you'll see a second box for Bob, and that's his screen.
Yeah. I see.
So he's sharing his screen, and I would just click on that, and that would come up on the thing. So yeah, we're just playing around with a new program. Everybody, we got too many people was using Zoom. This is a nice, cleaner look. We like it, and we've been messing with this a little bit in our home editions of the People Before Politics radio show. Welcome everybody who's tuned in. This is episode 283. Yo, Damon, when we first started, did you believe we'd be up like we heading up to episode 300? Did you imagine we was gonna be like almost 300 episodes?
No. Not at all.
283 episodes. And we would be further on. We took a lot of weeks off, like for the holidays, and we took 2 weeks off. So if it wasn't for that, we'd be even further.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I got some calls and texts. I'm not going to announce that because I don't know if it's true. And anybody who is watching that knows and you call to text me, I have to vet that before I can say that on the radio. So I will not be sharing that on the radio.
Well, let's not worry about it. We have we have Jamaal Bowman coming on.
Yeah.
What time?
Absolutely.
What time is he scheduled to come on?
It's supposed to be 6:15.
Okay.
Hopefully he's coming in at 6:15.
All right, because
what is Bob sharing?
Our sister is she's gonna
What
log
is that,
in
Bob?
at 6.
I wasn't. I'm sorry. That was inadvertent.
Okay.
I didn't mean. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I didn't
want to deprive you of sharing.
Thank you.
Since he's coming on, I think it's fitting for us to play his speech in Mount Vernon.
You want to play it?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to share it right now.
Yeah.
You like to hear it?
6
Here you
minutes.
go.
We got plenty of time.
Like to hear it? Here we go.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Wrote a song about it. You want to hear it?
I ran a primary election against Elliot Engel, and we were fortunate
what did I
enough
do?
to pull out the victory.
There we go.
On June 23rd. And my job, my mandate, and my responsibility is to go to Washington and fight for criminal justice reform on a national level.
That's not real
when
full screen.
Talking about criminal justice reform, we're talking about it from all different angles. So it's about fighting against police brutality. It's about fighting against mass incarceration. And it's to make sure that we have reentry programs. So when our brothers and sisters come back into the community, they have jobs, they have housing, and they have opportunity. And what's unfortunate is we are all here on this beautiful day in 2020. And I was speaking to one of my brothers earlier today, one of the elders, and he told me they were having the same conversation 40, 50 years ago. And it's time for us to stop having this conversation and to have true reform when we talk about law enforcement so that we could build a Mount Vernon, a district in the country that truly works for everyone. Now, before I ran for office, I was an educator. And as a teacher, counselor, and middle school principal, the number one thing we all understood very clearly is number one, we had a big responsibility, but the second thing was accountability. Accountability. It was my job to treat my teachers, my children, and my parents with the It is your responsibility to treat everyone with the utmost dignity and respect and to be a problem solver when people come to you with the issues that they're dealing with. And I'm standing before you today as a victim of police brutality. When I was 11 years old, hanging out with my friends, horse playing the way 11-year-olds do. Not doing nothing wrong, not hurting nobody. Someone called the police. They didn't like how we was acting. Next thing you know, I'm thrown against the wall. I'm thrown on the ground, face on the ground, nightstick to the back. Me and my friends beat down by police at 11 years old. That's 6th grade, y'all. I'm in the precinct. They call my mother, tell my mother, please make sure you bring his birth certificate when you come to the precinct. We don't believe he's 11 years old. My mother comes with the birth certificate to prove my age. They let me go, no charges, no nothing. Now, my mother and I didn't even think about any recourse. We didn't think about suing. We didn't think about pushing back because unfortunately, when you're black and brown in this country, you feel powerless at the hands of the police. And you feel powerless within the American judicial system, a system that has been oppressing us for 401 years. But it's time for us as elected officials to work with the community to take back that power. Because police are supposed to be under the jurisdiction of the people that they are hired to protect and serve. That's whose jurisdiction they should be under. And the number one thing, as I said before, is accountability. That's all we are asking. You are hired to protect and serve and uphold the law. It does not mean you are above the law. You are not above the law. And at a federal level, the CBC and the House introduced something called the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. And that act seeks to do two very important things. Number one, end qualified immunity. And number two, end no-knock warrants. If there were no-knock warrants, Breonna Taylor would be alive today. And in terms of qualified immunity, once we end qualified immunity, we are able to hold police accountable at a federal level. We are able to hold them accountable for violating the civil and human rights of the people that they engage with. So if they beat someone down and or kill someone, they could be held to a federal standard of breaking the law. Right now, that law, that policy, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, is sitting on the desk of Republicans in the Senate, which is why we got to get Republicans out of the Senate. We got to get Donald Trump out of the White House. Democrats take control, and then we can move that policy forward. But Democrats having control is not going to be enough, because Democrats have to be held accountable too, in the same way we hold Republicans accountable. So once we get the Republicans out of the White House, we're going to have to continue to organize, not just here in Mount Vernon, but Yonkers, New Rochelle, North Bronx, entire district, entire country. Make sure we dismantle the current system that is literally killing us and rebuild the system that's rooted in love and restorative justice for our people. That's the mission. That's the goal. I'm so proud to represent Mount Vernon in Congress. We're not there yet. November 3rd, make sure you all vote so we can win that general election. But I also want to echo, and I'm so happy you said this earlier. There are good police officers in the Mount Vernon Police Department. And one of those police officers stood up and spoke out against the ones who are not doing the right thing. And we have to do a better job of protecting whistleblowers who speak up for the people and speak out against what's wrong. We have to do a better job of making sure they are protected and they are empowered so that we can clean up the Mount Vernon Police Department and every police department from the inside out. So I look forward to.
Okay, that's and without further ado, what's that?
When school isn't a place.
Oh, wait a minute.
Why not go to school where
we good? And I'm just trying to make sure everything's copacetic. We got using this new screen thing. But without further ado, we got the brother, Jamaal Bowman, Democratic candidate and soon to be the actual congressman for the 16th district after Tuesday. Welcome, brother. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. Good evening. How y'all doing?
Fine, man. Fine. How you doing, man? You know, we was listening to all that music.
Good.
Absolutely. Just having a good time. You know, there's a lot going on in the world.
I don't know. Maybe he was living.
Hello?
Yeah, we here.
Okay. I think Dr. Bob's talking to someone. Is Dr. Bob on mute?
No. His screen just froze a little.
Okay. No, I was just saying that, you know, we were just vibing, you know, having a good time on a Saturday night. You know, it's a lot going on in the world. Things are very heavy and have been very heavy for a long time. So, you know, just a little levity, enjoying some old school music, you know, something we probably all do in the privacy of our home, but I just wanted to share it on IG Live the other night.
That's great, man. That's great.
Hi, Lorraine.
Yeah, it was a beautiful.
What's that now? Who's that? AJ?
It was a beautiful thing. You was rocking. Yeah, it was a beautiful thing. You was rocking.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, you know, I can't do any mixing and all that, and I don't really have equipment. But you know, music is good for the soul, man. So you know, I'm just trying to continue to inspire and uplift and bring joy to some difficult times. But hopefully, you know, if we get the results we're looking for over the next week, you know, we'll have something to celebrate, and then we could get right back to work.
Definitely. So how's the campaign? How's the campaigning going? What do you see as you go out in the streets and you campaign, and you know, how are the people responding to the need for change in Washington, D.C.?
Well, what I've been seeing over the last week seems to be record turnout in terms of early voting. I mean, wherever you go, whether it's Westchester County or the Bronx, you see huge numbers. You see long lines, and you see, you know, people excited to do their civic duty. So I'm seeing that for sure. And then for me, you know, the campaign's a little different for the general because we don't really have a challenger. So, you know, the big part of my campaign was the primary. And during the primary, you know, people were excited about our race, which is why we were able to triple voter turnout, you know, which is why young people and people of color came out in huge numbers. You know, we won pretty much every precinct in Yonkers and Mount Vernon, and we won both the Westchester side and the Bronx side. So people were ready for change. You know, people are excited about, you know, progressive ideas, you know, around climate change and universal health care and economic development, education, and, you know, just bringing humanity and compassion and opportunity to our politics. You know, that's the excitement I've seen. And, you know, people are excited about my personal background as an educator, you know, working in education for 20 years. And, you know, my experience as a teacher and a counselor and school principal. And, you know, people also excited about, you know, had a few people from Mount Vernon. It was like, oh, you a Bowman? You got family in South Carolina? Yeah, we family with the Bowmans. You look like my family. You look like my cousin.
Everybody's your cousin.
Everybody my cousin. You know, so I've gotten a lot of that as well. But you know, it communicates again an excitement, particularly from the Black community, man. You know, it's been really humbling, you know, to experience that, because it feels like we won, you know, like not just I won, but like we won, and not just the Black community, but people of color, Latinx community, young people. You know, so yeah, it feels like it's really exciting. But now so what we've done since the primary is we've done a lot of work around the census to get our census numbers up, which are now higher than they were in 2010, which is excellent. So we've done that, and we've done a lot of campaigning for the Biden team, participating in phone banks and virtual calls and other things. So yeah, man, people are ready for change, man. They're tired of the BS. They want justice.
Absolutely. Brother, you wrote a powerful piece. You wrote a powerful op-ed, and having the people come out for the Working Families Party. I think it was great. From my experience in being involved in the Independence Party, here in Westchester with Dr. Cavallo, and even in the 5 boroughs with Dr. Fulani. Third parties is needed. Minor parties is needed, and they slipped the fast one on us with the legislation and increasing the votes. Talk about the importance, man. Talk about, you know, the importance of having a choice, because it's almost taking, in my experience, almost taking a choice away, and limiting, you know, our voice and our democracy here in New York.
Yeah, there's been way too much of a corporate influence on our political system overall, and way too much of a corporate influence within the Democrat and Republican Party. And the wealthy elite have pretty much taken control of those two parties. You know, the 50% of members of Congress are millionaires. And the other 50% are lawyers who work for millionaires. You know, so we live in an unequal society. We've transitioned from chattel slavery to economic slavery, in my opinion. And those who represent labor, those who represent the working class, are the majority. Mm-hmm. But we don't get to share in the wealth that the CEOs hoard and send to offshore accounts and all of those different things. So the Working Families Party is an option for working people. It's an option for the working poor. It's an option for people of color. And it's an option for those who understand that our system is not working for everyone. And holding on the Working Families Party line for Biden, it counts for Biden just the same. Yes. But it also builds progressive political power here in New York State and across the country. And it shows the country that the Working Families Party is here to stay. And you mentioned that law that was changed underneath our noses. The reason why that continues to happen is because we got big money controlling politics. And we got to get big money out of politics. So, you have people giving $5, $10, $20, $30, $50, $100,000 to campaigns to help keep an individual elected, and then that person is going to write policy that benefits the wealthy elite, not the working class. Absolutely. I ran as a working party's candidate. So I'm not on the ballot as a Working Families Party candidate because we got the paperwork in late. So you'll see me on the Democratic line, but going forward, you will continue to see me on the Working Families Party line, which is why I'm rocking a sweatshirt tonight. To remind everyone, vote for Biden on the WFP line.
Now that's real powerful. Even though you're not on the line, you're promoting the line. Hey, brother, man. Hey, listen, man. They all gonna be looking at you, man.
Oh, me? Yeah. What you mean? What do you talk? What's that mean?
Because and I know Dr. Bob's going to say something soon. When you go against the status quo, and you are, and your statement is very revolutionary, in thinking, and is something that's needed. But you also have, a political culture in Westchester County, even in the state of New York, that pushes back against that, right?
Absolutely,
that push back against people having actual thought outside of the two major parties. I really want to see what this is going to happen to the Conservative Party, the Independence Party, all those other minor parties that really don't campaign as hard as the Working Families Party. But as far as the Democratic Party goes, it's revolutionary talk coming from someone who won the Democratic nominee.
Well, I guess so. I mean, I don't really see it that way. I mean, for me, so a couple things, right? We have to shift our thinking in terms of how we think about the status quo. Right. So the status quo, first and foremost, are the people. The people have the power. We haven't always exercised that power, but the people have the power. Like when the people come together and exercise the power, it's a wrap. We transform the country. Mm-hmm. When you look at our race in particular, I challenged someone who was in office for 31 years. And he was endorsed by Hillary Clinton, Andrew Cuomo, Nancy Pelosi, the Congressional Black Caucus, Hakeem Jeffries, people in the machine here at the state level.
Exactly.
And we won by 16 points. Mm-hmm. Right? So it shows that when you engage the people and you listen to the people and you put the people front and center, and you make sure your policy aligns to their issues, we are now in the process of building a power base, not just here in the district, but across the country. We have to continue to build that base. So the status quo, as we sit here right now, and God willing, we win on Tuesday, the status quo will become the Jamaal Bowman Congressional Office.
Oh, Jamaal froze. Jamaal froze.
Okay, I thought it was.
No,
I thought it was just me. I was like,
oh, there you go.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's all right.
People powered, man. This is people powered. To sum up what I just said.
Exactly. We have Sochi. I'm going to bring her in. So I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing that we're talking about people power and talking about changing the status quo and having such a great leader in New York in the Working Families Party. Here she is.
Hey everyone, good evening. Thanks for having me back and with my congressman-elect.
Hey. We had to. Listen, when AJ told me that Jamaal was coming on, I was like, yo, we got to have you on because I really think this is a moment, right? This is a moment in time that we have to capture and we have to talk about and we have to get young people, especially young people of color, involved.
Absolutely.
This is it. We got to turn this corner, and we need people like you, Sochi, and we need people like Jamaal in those political pockets, filling those gaps. So people like myself and Lorraine and Bob and AJ, and we could get the message across, so we can actually change our communities.
Absolutely. No, we've seen, I mean, Jamaal's victory, Mondaire Jones' victory, there was a mobilization of young people, people of color to the polls because people were speaking finally to an agenda that understood the crisis that people are feeling in their lives, right? You're actually talking about solutions that match the crisis as opposed to offering a short-term or reformist solution to massive crisis in people's lives. And we saw, as Jamaal was saying, massive turnout, historic turnout in our communities here in Westchester and in the Bronx of people who saw that electoral politics would play a direct role in transforming our lives, while also still protesting in the street. We have to make that connection clear from protest to the polls, right? From movement to the White House, from movement to the People's House in Congress. That's the type of power that we need to build. And that's what our slate is about. That's what Jamaal's candidacy is about. That's the only way we can actually build an inclusive, multiracial democracy in this country.
Right. Dr. Bob, you've been quiet. Okay, Dr. Bob?
I have to say, yes.
There he is. Okay, I hear you. Yes.
We hear you.
Oh, he froze up again.
Firstly, I just want to send a personal welcome to our soon-to-be Congressman Jamaal Bowman, along with guest Sochi. I've been quiet, Damon, because I'm deeply pained and unsettled by the situation that we come across here in the United States. Each day, news reports suggest that this is going to be an historic election, and more than one sense, it not only harkens perhaps to a future, but also a threat to a return to a past that left many of us and our families and forebears victimized. And then it's, I'm just, it's hard for me to even muster up the words. But I do want to say that I want to commend Congressman-elect, and I'll get ahead of myself by a day or two, about some 48 hours, Congressman-elect Bowman, for his piece in the paper, because I really do think that it highlights, all of us know, because we are conscious bearers of the progressive trajectory ambition that one of the things that we must seek to do, and as we create a climate, a political climate that is conducive to our progressive movement, we also need to be able to deliver the message to the political establishment that the kind of policy, and I have to say, I read the congressman's piece, Congressman-elect's piece, and his piece resonated not just for Black and political independence, but also for multiracial, multi-ethnic alliance building. At a time when many of us are deeply frightened by the rise of the right wing, we have to realize that as a numerical minority that is not going to be able to elect progressive candidates on our own, we have to be able to find ways to build those coalitions with principal allies. And the call to vote for the Working Families Party or to present your votes on the Working Families is an excellent strategy. I want everyone to know, when I went to the polls the first day it opened, I cast my vote for the working people who are on the Working Families Party, although Congressman-elect Bowman is just not appear, amongst others who do. Of course, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris appear. Mimi Roca, who, was heavily supported, who hasn't yet cast their vote and wants to be able to find a way to vote of protest, turning to members on the vote on the Working Family Party is a great way to do this. And back to your point about hostility, let us remember that Governor Cuomo has establishment Democrats, but in addition, he has undertaken spearhead a lot of weaken the working family parties, and that's only further evidence of just how vital it is.
I think we lost a brother at the end there.
Yeah, Bob. Yeah, you froze. You froze 1 hot second at your end statement.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Listen. I'm happy to let others chime in. I know that we don't have the best signal all the time, so I'll just I've made my point, and I'll give the floor to others.
Yes, I definitely got the gist of everything you said, brother. So I appreciate you. Thank you. What's up, Sochi? Good to see you. You're on mute. You're on mute.
I know. Good to see you. You should have told me you're wearing your hoodie.
Come on now.
We're going to the dance together. You don't tell me so we can coordinate our outfit.
My bad. I'm sorry. Didn't I yell at you in the very beginning after we met, like when we did when we announced the endorsement? I'm like, what are you wearing? Remember
I know.
that?
We're supposed to coordinate. I
I know. My bad. Yeah, but I got you. I'm repping. Ever since I got it, I haven't taken it off since yesterday.
It looks great. This is exciting. I mean, I saw Congressman soon to be elect yesterday at Intech in the Bronx. What we've been seeing across this whole week is just lines of voters wrapped around city blocks. So clear they need to defeat Trump. We all know that we've had this boot on our neck for the past 4 years. My people are from Nigeria. The president has named it a shithole. I don't know if this is Facebook. I guess I can say that.
No, right? You can say it. Yeah, you can say it. It's
I mean, he said it. Nation. This is like my cousins, whether they can come here to this country, whether I'll ever get to see them and be able to visit them. This is our fascist, racist government right now. So people know we have to vote to defeat Trump. And also people know that we need so much more in New York State. These are communities have been slipping. Just like we see lines snaked around city blocks to vote, we see lines snaked around city blocks to access food pantries in this moment, right? November 1st, rent is due. How many families right now are terrified and struggling because they can't make rent? So we know that we need to defeat Trump, and we know we need to build a New York that actually works for working people. And the Working Families Party has been on the front lines of that for 2 decades. And we're only getting started, right? Crisis, it's right to what Dr. Bob is saying. These are scary times, but crisis presents opportunity for people to step up, to offer a new vision and new solutions. And this is what we're seeing with leaders like Jamaal and like others who are clear that they need to, no, they're not going to assimilate. They're not going to just go to the luncheons in Congress and like enjoy their new suits. You know, he is getting a glow up if you saw that last piece that he had with RZA interviewing him. But that's not what it's all about, right? We need to bust in to the people's house and ensure that the people's agenda is what we're governing on. That's what our communities are crying out for. That's why voters are turning out en masse this week, last week, and in the primaries, because they know politics can't just be something out there in the air that the elites get to play in. They decide who survives and who will not survive this crisis that we're living in right now.
Absolutely. Sochi, I want to ask, and then Jamaal, what has been the response of, I guess, the senior elected officials in the way the Working Families Party, and the way that a lot of the younger candidates, the newer progressive candidates, are campaigning and are pushing the issues. You know, are there any type of pushback, or are they, because like even like when you see at the debate, and when they push Biden and they try to get Biden on a hard left agenda, and then he comes back to the middle. I get it, right? But is there any type of pushback in New York from these elected officials that's been elected for a long time?
We've seen a couple of different responses. As we know, politics is about contestation and struggle, right? We need that to be able to breed the best outcome. And so we've seen a couple of things. We've seen people really pulled in and wanting to associate themselves with their platform. For us, it's always values first. It's not about the people, right? You don't think about who the roster is, which elected. It's like, what is our platform? Are you down with fully funded education? Do you believe that housing is a human right? Do you believe that we should all have healthcare regardless of documentation status or job status? We put out our vision, and if you're down with it, come with us and let's govern on that. And so we've seen people really move in, and it's not just, it's not just downstate. It's not just people of color. It's not just young people, right? From Dick Godfrey, who's been in the state's, house since 1970, to Jabari Brisport, Black gay socialist, coming into the Senate, to Jessica Ramos in Queens, right? We have a multiracial, broad-based coalition of people who are committed to pushing that agenda. Are we going to raise taxes on the rich this year? Or are we going to continue to balance a budget on the backs of working class communities and children and the most marginalized? Like, that's what we put, and we see who moves in. And so we've seen a lot of great people. Yesterday with Jamaal Bowman, we just did a Bronx piece, and you saw people from Congress member Espaillat to Senator Gustavo Rivera to brand new Assembly member-elect Amanda Septimo, and in between, we put that vision forward, and we get people to move towards it. And then obviously there are people who are threatened by the agenda, right? Who think about politics as a zero-sum game, right? Who, if we're winning, they must be losing. And we're like, listen, like, we have to expand the pie here. Right. You can win too if you get behind our agenda, right?
Exactly.
That's what people in the state want. You want to be a winner? Join the party, right? Push forward the agenda and the issues that matter most to working people. Be visionary, be bold, be pushy. That's what the people want right now. That's the winning strategy.
Yeah, I would just add, she always says this, and Maurice always says this, and we talk about it. This is not transactional politics. This is a politics rooted in transformation, and a politics rooted in deep, authentic relationships, and a politics rooted in the needs of the people. And for us, it's common sense. For Sochi and I, like, we don't have to talk about it and get on the same page about what we're fighting for. If people don't have housing, we want to give them housing. If our schools are not fully funded, we need to fully fund them and support them. If people are food insecure, we need to get them food. If people are dying because they don't have health care, it's our job to get them exemplary health care. That's it. Like, it's about justice, it's about equality, and it's about humanity. We don't got time for transactional politics and you do a favor for me and I'll do one for you. This ain't about me. It's not about Sochi. It's about our communities that have been suffering for how many decades, for how many hundreds of years. That's what we're transforming right now. So in terms of response from senior elected officials, I mean, they see where the energy is right now. The energy in the party is progressive. It's about justice. It's about equality. It's about resisting corporate interests and financial oppression and the economic inequality that persists. It's about resisting that and rooted everything we do in the people. The senior elected officials are noticing that, and they're responding accordingly in terms of trying to work in alignment with us and get behind us, I guess, where it's feasible for them, because many of them, or some of them, have been compromised throughout their career. So it's hard for them to pivot and move in this direction, but that's fine. It's like I said before, we are rooted in the needs of the people. And as long as we continue to engage the people authentically and listen to them and learn from them and center them, we'll grow the base, we'll grow the electorate. And as long as we have the numbers, we have the power. So we got to continue to grow the numbers and organize around our numbers so we can continue to have the power.
Yes. Also, I see that the article on News One says that the Working Families Party has a Democratic heavyweight in support in Chuck Schumer. And they name, they go with a lot of the other Democrats that actually support or coming out and supporting the party. Chuck Schumer has always been like a supporter of third party politics. I was very surprised when he came out in support of nonpartisan primaries. So I wasn't surprised in seeing him coming out supporting the Working Families Party. Are they writing the other parties off? Because you don't hear them talk about the Conservative Party, the Women's Equality Party. What's the party? The guy from the Guardian Angels was head of. He was head of one of the parties too. There's so many parties out there. It's like it's like crazy. But the Working Family Party always had a history of being on the ground, right? I've always known them, to be on the ground, boots on the ground, flyers, pushing candidates, doing rallies, and I think the Working Families Party might be the only minor party left, because the other parties don't promote and they don't do as much as the Working Families Party do.
Well, I would say before Sochi jumps in, those parties don't have Sochi.
Well, that too.
Yeah, we got when you got excellent leadership, we know that changes the game. So even though the Working Families Party had that reputation for everything you just said, when you hire someone like Sochi, you go to another level. When you hire someone like Maurice, you go to another level, right? So this is transformative politics, and Sochi's a hustler. She's a grinder. She's brilliant. She's an organizer. So she riles us up. She corrals us together to get things done. You know what I mean? So we have that. No disrespect to the other parties, but I know the WFP has that. There's a fundraising mechanism in place that helps us to stay robust and vibrant. I mean, you got to do the work. The work is the work. And what when I went to the first, I don't know if I met Sochi that night, but WFP had like a holiday event where she was introduced as the new director of New York State. I don't think we met that night, but to see Maurice speaking, the optics of Maurice and what he represents, and then him pass the mic to Sochi, I was like, oh my, it's on. Like it was like, let's go. I was so excited, and so that's the difference for me. It's It's the leadership, it's the infrastructure, it's the relationships, it's the vision, and it's the love for your community and for your people. And Sochi has that.
I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It reminds me of Dr. Fulani back in the day, right? How she used to push the Independence Party just in the 5 boroughs. That's all she ran. But you know, it reminds me of that of that fever, like we're pushing an agenda for the people. We're coming out here for the people. Because it just seeing the college people, seeing the different walks of life, talking about the Working Families Party. It reminds me what Dr. Fulani used to do with the Independence Party a long time ago, man. You know, it's a refreshing sight. It definitely is, because it's needed. You know, it's needed, and it's definitely needed in Westchester. It's definitely needed in Westchester.
It is. No, I mean, I really appreciate that. You know, it's humbling to hear. And I think also it's like we want more voter choice, period. This should not be a competition of parties fighting for their lives. People need choice. But the Working Families Party, especially in this moment, when we say, you know, people's first, second, or third choice may not have been Joe Biden, but we still want to make sure they feel the urgency, the excitement, and that they're not just showing up to the polls to vote against something, but they have something to vote for, right? They have something to come back to. They have something to keep them moving, keep them energized, keep them organizing, keep them hopeful. We're aiming to give people an agenda that keeps them hopeful. So you can have a twin mandate: defeat Trump and put forward a better vision. In the two-party system that often leaves people at the lesser of two evils, that doesn't build power for people. That doesn't inspire young people to participate. Let's give people something to fight for, to fight with. That's what our platform is about. That's what Jamaal's candidacy is about. And also to build a party in which our values are not disconnected from our path to win. You can't be a party that says you champion racial equality, universal health care, working people, and then campaign appealing to moderates. You campaign sheltering the interests of the wealthy few. And then it's no surprise that the Democratic Party's governing agenda is corrupted by those influences, right? We have to ensure there's no daylight between our values and our path to win. That's what our party is about. That's what we're trying to keep real about. Those two things should not be disconnected unless you're not building a real people's party.
Exactly. And for all the sisters out there, when they talk about sister power, here's a sister running the state, right? Here's a sister running I know you're laughing, but I gotta say it, man, because here we are talking about sister power, women power, all this, and here's a black woman.
They're trying out there. Those sisters are trying. Those sisters are working hard out there.
No. What I'm saying, listen to what I'm saying. Here's a black woman running a state party. Sisters should be rallying behind her, right now.
Yeah,
they should be rallying behind her. We gotta get rid of all that party craziness, right? And stick with the agenda for the people and get behind this sister. That's all I'm saying, right? Because here's a sister doing it. She's doing it, but we're so caught up into the mindset that it has to be Democrat or nothing else. You know, and then we can't have it both ways. You can't say we supporting all the sisters and then we have a sister here talking everything and saying everything and have a party that's agenda for the people. And you know, the Deltas and the AKAs and all of them are not jumping behind this system. That's all I'm saying.
Hey man, don't start no beef with us.
I know. I'm like, calling out the AKAs on the show.
Damon said that. Damon said that, y'all. That wasn't us. Sophie and I did not say that.
I just want them to get behind you, sisters. That's all. We got to get behind you. See, we got to get behind you.
Well, so let me add to that, right? So I you know, I was raised by a single mom and I had 3 sisters. So I was the only boy in the house, right? So, and my mom and sisters are like they're everything. Like I wouldn't be anywhere near who I am without how they raised me. Two of my sisters are like 10 years older than me, and I have a younger sister as well. And now I'm the father of a daughter, and for the last 20 years in education, I work with young girls of color all the time. And you know what Sochi represents for them and what the squad represents for them.
Exactly.
It's so powerful. It's just brilliant, beautiful, relentless, fierce leadership that we all need to learn from and follow, man or woman or other.
Exactly.
And definitely our young women should lean into as well. But you know, when you say change the mindset, we all have to change our mindset from the way not just politics used to be and how we used to view politics, but how we used to view power and how we used to view ourselves within the infrastructure of power in this country. So power comes from a political space, yes. It comes from an organizing space. It comes from an economic space, but it also comes from our imagination. And one of the legacies of racism within our systems is the accepted belief that we are inferior as Black and brown people. And that's something that we have to always push back against and fight against so that we can really get free from a psychological perspective and then reimagine and rebuild a world in our own image.
Yeah.
That's my vision and hope and faith for Mount Vernon in particular, but definitely for Mount Vernon, Yonkers, parts of New Rochelle, and the Northeast Bronx. I ran for office because my school's in the Northeast Bronx. I live in Yonkers. I would often drive home, taking the streets. I would drive through Pelham. I would see one community. I would drive through Mount Vernon. I would see another. I would drive through Bronxville and Scarsdale, parts of Riverdale, see one community. Drive through parts of Yonkers, see another. That's unacceptable. We cannot accept that. And it's going to be not just us being united and working together and strategizing, mobilizing, but our imagination that's going to help us recreate the world in our own image in a way that benefits all of us. And I'm not talking 50 years from now. I'm not talking 100 years from now. What can we accomplish in the next 10 years if we really go hard behind the leadership of someone like Sochi, myself, and others working within the community? If we really go hard on love and faith and hope and belief in what's possible, what can we accomplish in the next decade?
Brother Jamaal, that's like the third time I heard you talk about love, man. And that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Like that's something that we do not hear enough coming from our leadership, you know, outside of the love that they talk about in the pulpits in the churches. But we're talking about leaders that have boots on the ground and talking love. I think that's something that needs to be talked about more, you know, in the political circles and from our leadership. And I thank you for that, man. I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. There was a question for both of y'all. What do you feel about non-citizen voting rights in New York State?
I could say from the party perspective, you know, we have this as on our questionnaire in New York City in particular, because that's a place that you could potentially implement non-citizen voting. We think it's important, right? We need to have a broader, more robust democracy, period. And for folks who have duties and responsibilities and relationship to our state, why would they not have a right to decide who and how the rules dictate their lives? There are many ways in which people pour into our society, our community, and show up as leaders that are not mapped on lines of citizenship. And so we think it's an important step in expanding our electorate.
If they're allowed to have a tax identification number, they should be allowed to vote, right?
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree. They're paying taxes, right?
Yeah.
Listen, they are here. They are working.
And they're allowed to have a driver's license.
They should be allowed to vote. And for me, in terms of our undocumented friends and family, I want to give amnesty to all of them, all 11 million.
Bring them all in, right?
Well, a couple things, right? One, the ones who are here, let's expedite a pathway to citizenship for them. Number one. Number two, let's increase the opportunity to come here legally for our brothers and sisters from Central and South America, parts of Africa, and other places. Let's do that. And let's take responsibility for our history as a nation and how we, through our imperialist behavior all over the world, we've created and contributed to a refugee and immigration crisis that we're now dealing with here through charging people with crime, right? So for me, when we talk about progressive immigration policy, these are some of the things that we're talking about. So yes, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. I mean, if they're paying taxes, they have to be represented. I mean,
I just want to say. Go ahead.
AJ? What you say, AJ?
Oh no! I agree with what you're saying. I said if everybody saw me chuckling a little bit, it wasn't to what y'all were saying. There's been a little pushback on Damon saying that the sisters are not supportive. Sisters are pushing back.
Hey, listen, that's great. That's great.
Supportive.
No, that's good. I appreciated the conversation.
Maria said, Damon, you gotta know what these sisters are doing out here.
No, listen. I think that's great. And all the sisters that said they supporting my sister, get out there and get 10 more sisters. Right?
That's all I'm saying. On their behalf, let me tell you. On their behalf, let me just say this. The conversations are happening. They're just not happening with you, but they're happening amongst themselves.
You were not invited to the AKA brunch, Damon.
It's all right.
To AKA brunch.
I'm not invited to a lot of brunches.
So Maria said the relationship base, the organization. So WFP has work to do in Westchester among Black women who have been rolling with the establishment. But we show up. So we are here. I'm here. I've been WFP for years. A lot, and a couple other women were just saying, not all women, we need more, but there's some women that are supportive. So they were pushing back a little bit.
It goes both ways. It goes both ways too.
No, absolutely. Hey, listen, I'm going to be out there pushing the Working Family Party. You know, I don't have no problem with that. You know, I think it's great. You know, I think it's wonderful. You know, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing.
Well,
you always supported third parties.
Yeah.
So first of all, excuse me, I'm battling flies because my door is open and it's raining. But yeah, that's why you keep seeing me doing all this. And I think they know I'm a former Republican. You know what they did to Pence. But let me ask you a question. The election law, the election law that made the qualifications higher. The numbers higher.
Yep.
Who did that? And is there a possibility that somebody like Jamaal can go in and try to do something to reverse it?
I have a long list for Jamaal. So maybe I'm like, that's a good point, Lorraine. Maybe I should add this to his list. So that was a New York State commission. So it is state law. And that was a commission that was put forth by, the governor last April 2019, an unelected commission chaired by the chair of the Democratic Party that put forward those rules. And so, no poll has ever showed that New Yorkers want fewer parties on the line. Every poll's always, every public opinion has shown that New Yorkers want more choice, not less choice on the ballot. So it was a complete, undemocratic move. Could it be reversed? It could be reversed. I think we'll talk to our allies in the new year and see what other things. But election law period in New York does not work for working people. So there's a whole package.
Exactly.
Early voting just passed last year for the first time ever, right?
Yeah.
We had people calling cops on folks at poll sites for first response. If you have a problem with your ballot, a cop shows up. We have to, like, this is all election laws we have to rethink and disentangle to ensure that people actually have a way to participate in our democracy. So next year, we want to put forward a whole democracy package that might include fixes for third parties, but also include expanding early vote and funding the BOE at a higher level and ensuring that cops are not first responders in poll site issues. There's a whole
I saw that happen in Yonkers at the primary, and it was. And I want to just say something else. AJ has been really advocating for folks to vote at the Working Families line, because had he not said it to me, I went in there and I voted for a couple of judges, and I made a couple of choices in the Working Families line. And the reason I did it was because I remembered what AJ said, so I just knew to let you know you got an ally there.
I'm going to send you a mug, AJ, as long as that's not considered election fraud. But I'll send you a mug after the election. I'll send you a sweater. Appreciate that. Appreciate this whole Black Westchester. This has been been a great ally.
Well, I mean, we try to make.
I since 2014. Since 2014, I've been voting third party. Period. Like, I was a member of the Independence Party, and anybody who had the Independence line, of course, I voted them first. And then if they didn't have the Independence Party, I got the Working Family Party and some of the other parties. But I only voted Democrat with those candidates. Democrat. And Jamaal, I went in there looking for Working Family. I was looking for. I was like, yo, where's the Working Family?
I know.
So I had to vote Democrat for Jamaal, but I've been doing that since 2014.
He's not on our line, but he's right in the middle of our heart. He is our number one. Yes. If there's any exemplification of a working family's Democrat, it's Jamaal Bowman. And so there's so much that we will do together. We're very excited.
And going forward, I will be on that line. No more administrative mishaps on my campaign's part. It
was the middle of a pandemic. It was the middle of a pandemic. Things happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, on now, Jamaal, you going down.
I also wanted to say, with the raise of those numbers.
I didn't hear him.
I guess I got a delay.
Yeah, you got a delay.
I said, with the raise of those numbers, with the raise of the numbers, and going from 4 years to 2 years, the problem is because y'all are a threat to the stranglehold the two-party system has had on the political system for years. A threat. Independence Party for a while was a threat. All of that new threat. So this is for y'all to exist, because y'all are a threat. You're a threat to their control, to their power structure that they've had for years.
That's how Jamaal was a threat when Jamaal announced that he was running. He was a threat at every elected official that I know that is in a high position. Everybody was pushing back. Everybody was telling me don't F with him, because he was a threat. And let me tell you something, Jamaal. For the 2 years that I've been in Black Westchester since day one, what have I said? I've always said we got. Angle got to go back to Maryland and retire. So when you announced, I was one of the happiest ones out there, and and there was pushback because I was one of your biggest cheerleaders, and I got to put it. So I can only imagine what you as the candidate received. But when you win, your job is to unify. Your job is to bring them together and let them know, educate them, and let them know it's not like that no more. Not today. And they'll come around because they don't have a choice.
No, I appreciate that, and they came around during the campaign. I mean, obviously, the establishment they are who they are, and they did what they did, and I think there was some tension there because I didn't go through the traditional. Well, you call the district leaders and you call the elected officials, and you kind of let them know what you're planning on doing. I mean, this is my first time running for office.
No, but Jamaal, you clean up if you try.
Yeah.
They would have welcomed you. You couldn't. You couldn't. But
I didn't know what the rules were, so I was just like, I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah, you did what you had to do. And there was a lot of loyalty there. There was a loyalty, and that's understandable too. But we got you, and yay.
And now we can work. Now we can work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Also,
I'll
keep watching Jamaal afterwards because it's like the politics are always the transactions and the, oh, you didn't support me, I'm going to put your priorities last. Like that's this old school politics that we're not about. And to see Jamaal, first of all, people came straight to him, but even to see, to hear the calls that he's taking and the people that he's working with, building that broad coalition that's not about loyalty or fiefdoms and just like ending that era of politics is so refreshing in a place where people just operate based on scorecards, right? Who messed with me back then? Who do I owe now? We're done with that. It's about the agenda.
I was going to say that Jamaal is a breath of fresh air that we needed. It's the breath of fresh air that we needed. Yeah.
I think yes. I'm glad that y'all said that, because we have to change the mindset of politics. And that type of politics has left Black communities throughout the United States in the same condition for the last 20 years. And when we look around and we see communities that are run by us, like, we can't always blame racism, right? When you have 4 or 5 levels of government all Black, and our community is still suffering, we have to begin to look at us. Like what are we doing? Like the culture of leadership and a culture of politics. How is that not reflecting in having a safe and busy community, right? And when we see that, we want to blame others. But I think when we're getting out of that old way of thinking and old politics, I think we'll start seeing our communities grow.
But you know what, Damon? I know that when a lot of our Black and brown folks got into office, that was their mindset. That's what they wanted. They wanted to do that. They wanted to do all that other stuff. But then people got a little bit complacent and, a little bit of power here, a little bit of power there. But sometimes you got to bring somebody in like Jamaal, like Mondare. And you know what? You wake them up and they start to work again.
Yeah. And I would just add, racism is a disease that infects the Black mind as well. And,
absolutely.
We go in and we think we have to behave a certain way, get certain things done and be accepted. And then what happens, obviously, we lose ourselves in the process. I mean, this is, trying to take down white supremacy. I mean, this is a monster, right? This is what we're up against. So, it's a paradigm shift for, it's elected officials who go in with the right mindset, keeping that mindset, connecting with others so they're not alone, because it could get very lonely in that space. But then, as Sochi always speaks about and what we always talk about, stay rooted in the community, stay rooted in the people, stay rooted in their needs, and in those values that led you to run in the first place. Because listen, I know it's tough. I know it's not easy. And I feel, in this moment to have, Sochi, Maurice, the squad, Mondare, so many others, I'm not by myself in there, so, none of us can do it alone. We all need, an army with us.
Yeah. We have to all make sure we continue to have his back. Right?
Absolutely.
This is hard. It's a system, is a deep thing. But Jamaal has the transformative vision, and we have to make sure that we have, the movement behind him. That's the best candidates and the best electeds have the people behind them and are not just governing on their own. And so that's on us. That's on our whole community to ensure that we're continuing to organize. We can't just demobilize after the race and hope that he can deliver everything on us. That's what happened after Obama also. We got comfortable.
Exactly.
Right? We stopped organizing. We stopped pushing. That's not how mass movements happen. That's not how change happens. We need our leaders, and we need a broad base of organizers, of leaders, of community members pushing on that same agenda.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Bob?
I wanted to add that the importance of the Working Family Party's approach to politics has been repeatedly validated by scholarly studies of previous social movements in the past here in the United States. And one of the scholars is Charles Payne, who's the author of I've Got the Light of Freedom. And Payne distinguishes between in the age of social media and the rise of television and radio, the Democratic Party's connection to the grassroots of the communities that they purport to represent. And this partly explains why there has been a growing indifference and empathy to participation in politics, because people get the feeling that they're only addressed, spoken to, courted in a time of when the party is in need, not when the people are in need. And I'm fortunate because one of the things that allows me to do is read the great works of scholarship. And I was class, Lawrence Goodwin's classic study of the populist movement in the United States. Which rose to power in the late 19th century, amongst other things, a democratization of the monetary system, in some respects. And one of the things that I was struck by was the fact that they had over 800 organizers out in the field that reached into the very depths of the grassroots of community to amass the critical number that is required to turn things around if we continue to rely on a tradition that says, listen, all we need to do is play some ads on your television the month before it's not going to suffice. All we need to do is send you out a customized appeal on social media. That's not, we have to embrace the support that Sochi and other people with the working family parties, as well as others, have adopted as to really do full-time organizing. And so I really, it really hardens me and lifts my spirits to see that, there are people who understand this importance. And I, look forward always to working with people.
I love that. Yeah. I think that's right. The full-time organizing. I think that Democrats and the whole political consultant industrial complex that runs our political system treats us like consumers in the marketplace, right? You get these narrowly tailored things based on your consumer preferences and look like, oh, you're a Black woman in your 30s, I'm going to send you this thing, but don't give you the full picture. Don't give you the full vision, right? We are not consumers in the political marketplace. We are individuals and communities with agency and dreams and expectations. And we have to talk to voters as such, right? Give them the full picture, give them the full vision, and then move them into action. That happens every day, not just every 4 years swooping in, spending money, and doing some smart targeting.
Mm-hmm. And especially, I'm sorry, just one more thing.
Go ahead,
we take seriously the struggle begins after the election.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If we're fortunate enough for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to prevail in the presidential election, we know that we have got tremendous work to do, that we must be prepared on January 17th, we'll say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another 4 years.
We got two questions.
Brother Jones, I got to run after these.
Okay, got you, brother. Asha Casaberry Hernandez says, I hope Jamaal supports Congresswoman Sheila Jackson's lead commission on reparations. Also support more pragmatic foreign policy. Too many black and brown people from low and middle class serve in the military.
Yes and yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then
and John, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Damon.
And John Carlos says, will Jamaal Bowman vote for Nancy Pelosi for Speaker?
Well, it depends on who's running. I don't know who's running or how that's going to play itself out.
Mm-hmm.
There are other races as well. And Sochi, this is some of the inside baseball I've learned already. So there's a race for the chair of the Appropriations Committee, which is huge because that determines where our money goes. And, you know, obviously money follows values. The chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee that some people know about now because Engel lost his race. There's an assistant speaker's race as well.
Really?
This is like so the Speaker of the House has an assistant speaker, right? So we would obviously want that person to be aligned to our values as well.
Right.
So this inside baseball stuff, Sochi, is like stuff that we got to involve the movement in as well. So they go out from the outside to push for. So not just looking at speaker, which is, you know, very important.
Visible,
these other positions are very, very, very key. If we get the right chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee, we could have a progressive foreign policy. We could decrease military spending. We could reallocate those resources somewhere else. So it's like, so we'll see with Pelosi, but the other races, you know, we got to lean into as well.
Jamaal, Richie Torres, is he part of? Does he share the same agenda?
I haven't met with Richie yet. I know, you know, one big difference is, you know, Richie takes corporate PAC money and I don't. You know, I know Richie takes money from big real estate and some others, but we haven't like had a conversation yet in depth. So we still got to get to know each other.
Fair enough.
All right, brother. I don't want to keep you, man.
I want to thank you. Thank you, my brother, for coming on for the time. Good luck, and whatever you do, don't let them change you. Remain to be the same person that you are now, my brother. People get up there sometimes and they get lost. Just stay who you are. Stay who you are. Don't let them change you. And
So
grow here, but stay humble.
That's right. Let me remind y'all of the mission. The mission is to build Wakanda. That's the mission. So continue to share that mission with the people, because the only way it happens is if we apply pressure on our elected officials to get that done. So that's always the mission. Let's stay focused.
Thank you, brother, and we'll be making sure.
Congressman.
We'll be making sure they're not selling none of our vibranium, neither, brother.
That's right.
On the ground, making sure, because that.
All right, peace and love, y'all.
All right, now.
Good night.
So,
Chief. Oh yeah.
So, no, real quick, for anybody that wants to contact the Working Families Party, they want to know more about the Working Families Party, they want to join the Working Families.
Yes.
Give the information.
Yes. So if you have any questions about your ballot, about which judges we support, where, anything, email us at New York, spelled out, at workingfamilies.org. You can check out our website, votewfp.org. It has all of the information that you need, including how you can join, how you can contribute, how you could participate. It gives you a list of our endorsed candidates. It shows you our campaign video featuring Jamaal Bowman, Mondaire Jones, Alessandra Biaggi, other, Westchester folks, amongst other people. So votewfp.org. You'll get most of our information. If you want to know who our WFP endorsed candidates are in your district, you can text, and should I type it in here? You can text New York Voter Guide to 30403. And it'll show you, it'll say Jamaal Bowman is an endorsed WFP candidate. Find him on the Democratic line. Vote, it gives you a good voter guide, because we found that lots of people are just not getting the information that they needed. about candidates, about early vote hours, etc. Really stepping up to make sure that people and New Yorkers are getting the information that they need. And so check out our website, email us, stay involved. We're trying to build here also in CD16 and beyond in Westchester to really build a multiracial working people's party. And that requires real energy, right? Not just showing up at the polls every 4 years, but what are you talking about your dining room table that should become policy, right? What are the gaps you're noticing in your school system that should be on a state senator's agenda, right? Like, let's take that brilliance that we know exists in our community and turn that into action, turn that into political power. That's what we're trying to build at the Working Families Party.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much for taking the time out. I know it was last year, but thank you.
Always good. Always fun to be here.
I have one more. I have one more question for her.
Okay.
I know my voice is breaking up a little bit. I hope y'all can hear me. I have one more question. People, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Jamaal decided to vote for Biden and Harris on the Working Families beat. There were Democrats that started responding that the vote won't count if he's not voted on the Democratic line, and it was going to mess things up. So explain that, because we like to educate our audience. So for the people that don't know, vote for the Working Family Party line is not a vote is a vote. It still counts. Explain that to the people.
Absolutely. No, that's really important. If you vote for Biden and Harris on the Working Families Party line, it counts exactly the same as if you voted them on the Democratic Party line. In New York State, we have fusion law. So if you endorse the same candidates, the votes on the separate lines add up together and fuse, and that vote total is one and the same. We have the exact same electors, so like the 29 people who actually are the ones who vote in our electoral college system. WFP has exact same electors as the Democratic Party does. And so those votes are one and the same. At the end of the night, they will be tabulated as one, and Biden will get that full count on the Working Families Party, and the Democratic Party line will go to him. So that's fusion voting. It's existed since the 1800s. New York State is has the most robust fusion systems. We have to protect it. Third parties in fusion voting supported, the abolitionist movement. Think about Fannie Lou Hamer and the Mississippi Democratic Freedom Caucus, right? That was third party activity. We have to ensure that we have a robust democracy. Fusion voting is key to that. And it means that your vote counts exactly the same as if you voted for the same candidate on a major party line.
Great.
Thank you for that, because
Thank you for
a lot
question.
of misinformation.
That's an important question. Your vote counts exactly the same. We encourage people to defeat Trump and vote your values by voting for Biden and Harris on the Working Families Party line.
Thank you. Let's make it happen. Let's
do it. Appreciate y'all's support. I hope to see you on the other side. Let's talk about what's next after the election.
Yes.
Thank you all for the support.
Thank you. And have a good night.
Have a good night. Good to see you. See you all soon. Be well.
Bye.
Take care.
Pleasure having you on the show.
Well, okay, it's just us.
So Brother Bob, I was filling Damon in on the need to do a show after the election. And he was telling me about a need to do a show about what's next. What are we going to do next? What is our next move after this election? So I think kind of like the two ideas would make a great show. And we got to put that together, a special show during the week or whatever. Actually,
what I wanted to do, a show. I mean, we could do as many shows as we want, but
right.
Black Westchester was going to partner with 100 Black fathers who care, and to really have a real discussion on what's next for Black men, Black families, in the Black community. I mean, because see, there's a lot of issues going on here, man, and I don't want people to get confused. Because with this election, you have Ice Cube, who came out with the contract of Black America, right? But that's not the first time, right? That's not the first time any person came out with any agenda, political agenda, for Black America, right? So we have to have a discussion. You know, Black people are putting are putting these elected officials in some of these districts over the hill, and nobody's talking about an agenda for Black people. We ain't even talking about it, right? So what, you know, I mean, if we're going to give our vote, we need to get something for it, right? Malcolm X said it. Even Martin Luther King said it. And when he started talking about it, they assassinated him because he stopped talking about love and he started talking about the United States wrote a blank check to the Negroes and it bounced. So he was talking about, what are we getting for our sacrifice? So I really think that we have to start having honest conversations and not allowing scared Negroes in Westchester County to keep us from having that. We started the first conversation when we had the Westchester Black Political Conference, when we talked about the need, right? Everything that we said back then is still relevant today, right? And how long has that conference been? Right? 2 to 3 years, right? What Fulani was talking about, 4 years, right? What Fulani was talking about, what they were doing with housing, they're doing it now in New York and even in Westchester. And she said that 4 years ago. And now what they're doing in housing, they're doing it right now here in Westchester. So and we have to be honest that we live in one of the most segregated counties in America. In America. And when are they going to address that? They want us to forget that Westchester is not a segregated county just because some Negroes is with some degrees is able to buy some houses someplace, right? And if it wasn't for George Floyd and the George Floyd death, we wouldn't be talking police reform. And then when you look at the numbers of Black and brown in the police departments, if we don't address that, we'll be soon at zero in the next 20 years. So we have a lot of issues that need to be put on the table as Black and brown people and Black people right here in Westchester. And we can't be afraid to have these conversations, and we can't allow Negroes in leadership to keep us from having these conversations. We can't be scared of that. Like
they're the ones afraid to have the conversation. They're the ones afraid to have the conversation.
Exactly. Now we got a congressman-elect that's a school teacher, so he understands the need, you know, for community development and how it reflects on the children's psyche and mental capacity to learn, right? And cities like and all Black cities are suffering from this. So you know, if we don't have, and also let me say something here, and I might piss people off, but I really don't care, right? Have you noticed that Black men has been completely silent this election? Silent. When did we stop suffering? Can somebody give me a damn year that Black men stopped suffering? Can somebody give me a year that Black men stopped being unjustly killed by police? Somebody give me a year that Black men stopped being discriminated against and racially profiled. What year was that? That all of a sudden we got it better than Black women. What year was that? Because there haven't been a year that Black men haven't been killed in America. Not one damn year. So all this talk, all this hate talk that's going on between Black men and women, this shit gotta stop. It has to stop. We have to get to a point when you see when a black man gives an opinion, we not attacked because we ain't stopped suffering. Y'all act like we sitting at the table with the white man. No. So it has to be a point that I tell you what changes. 100 black men standing in front of the county building, they'll change every law that's possible. But I think it's time for black men in Westchester County to organize politically.
To stand up.
And to stand up.
Stand up.
This has nothing to do that we Xing our sisters out. Absolutely not. No different than the Million Man March. It's time to stand up. It's time to have a responsibility.
I also want to add, and you've been saying this for years. Oh, first, two things. You were right and I was wrong. The conference was February 2018, so it was 2 years, not 4 years. Secondly, you've always said our sisters are out there marching and everything. Where are the black men there to be by their side to protect them and support them? Our sisters have been out there. Where have the black men been? So we need to see more black men stand up.
There's several black women's organizations out there.
I mean, but that's cool. But what I'm saying is that we have to be more involved, right? Black men, we have to be more involved. And in the process of being more involved, we cannot be in competition. It's not a competition against our sisters. And it shouldn't be looked at as a competition.
We need to be supportive of each other.
Exactly.
We need to be
supportive.
We allow people to divide us all kinds of ways. This is the latest version of the dividing us and putting us one against each other. We allow all kinds of entities to divide us.
Exactly. And
when we start falling for that and we start working.
And we have to communicate better, men and women.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was on a thread and I got attacked just because I disagreed with a sister. Like, then all of a sudden, it's my responsibility to go tell all black men to stop beating black women. How did that become my sole responsibility? And my response to the sister was since around 80% of black men is raised by black women, you need to talk to your black women about their black men beating other black women. How about that? Because I'm raised by a mother, a woman, single since I was 5. She ain't never taught me to hit a woman. So what about the other single mothers? How are they raising their black women?
Single mothers, I doubt very much. They're raising their.
Where did they learn it from? Then where did they learn it from?
It could be the streets. It could be this. It could be. I don't know. It could be in the street. It could be.
A lot of times, it's the hate for the father reflected on the son.
Okay, because where's the father then?
No. It's not where the father. It's the hate for the father reflected on the son.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So you treat the son that has nothing to do with your relationship, other than you laid down with the man.
Yeah, women do gotta do better with that, because there's a lot of fathers that the mothers hold their children against hostage because of the hate towards the father, because of what the father did. Oh, you with that other woman? Well, you can't see him.
So, but what happens to the child? What happens? What happens to the child?
Right.
That's a lot.
And I want to add one thing, and this is also not going to be popular. Like, I don't advocate the hitting of men hitting on women at all, but also women have to understand that their words cut like knives to their black men sometimes. You have to understand the power of your word. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, like, they don't understand that, and that happens a lot in the black community, and it's as dangerous. It is as harmful, almost as the physical harm. Like you understand what I'm saying? I know I'm not advocating the physical harm thing or trying to belittle that, but I am also speaking on the how words cut like knives. We have to build up our sisters. We have to build up our brothers. We have to build up our children. Jamaal spoke about love.
Yes.
Handling these situations with love would stop the division, and we in the black community have to stop allowing people to divide us, because they know how powerful we are if we all stick together. It's us that don't know.
So
that's it. That's my
so domestic violence. One in 4 women and 1 in 9 men. That's kind of close. If you think 1 out of every 9 men is a victim of domestic violence from a woman. Not 1 in 25, 1 in 30, 1 in 9 men, 1 in 4 women, but 1 in 9 men. And that's what's reported, because a lot of men don't report when they're mentally.
A lot of women don't either.
Right, exactly. But a lot of men don't, because it's a macho thing. So you're talking about a man going to go in front of the judge.
Say that you were abused by women.
Listen. I had a friend went in front of the judge when he was a victim, and the judge laughed at him. Said, "How are you a victim and you're 6'4" and she's 5'3"? But she was beating him in the head all the time. So I mean, it's real, and we have to have that, and we have to have the conversation. So it's not one person greater than another, because one person abuses too many, no matter what sex you are. Right?
Absolutely.
And that's the point. And that's the attitude we. Right. As she said, abuse is not always physical. It's sometimes
all
mental.
abuse is not physical.
Exactly. And that has to be talked about. But that's the healing factor. And I'm glad Brother Jamaal is talking about love, because see, if you could talk about people actually loving each other and working to love each other, we could eradicate these things, and we could heal, because a lot of people need healing. A lot of people need some type of healing. A lot of people haven't got over something, and they're still holding on to it.
You know what, Damon? That's true. You know what? I don't know if you know. 2 years I was locked up in a room. I was beat every day. I jumped out a 2-floor window to try to escape. He caught me, carried me back upstairs, locked me back up. For 2 years I was locked up, getting beat every day. To this day, Damon, I still haven't healed from that, because what happens when somebody comes at me? I'm ready to kill him.
No,
because I say, ain't nobody gonna hurt me no more. Ain't nobody gonna ever hurt me no more. There's a lot of healing that needs to take place.
Mental health is key. Mental health. So I got this book right here, Guide to Black Mental Health. Bob, you're quiet. That means your brain.
Working overtime. Yeah.
Exactly.
He got some stats and some figures and some
data.
Bob's
going to break down some stats. Bob's going to break down some stats.
I wasn't.
Before you do, okay, go ahead.
I was just simply going to say,
Good.
was happy to content to listen. I mean, it did remind me, of course, Damon, about the exchange that we had on Facebook several months ago, specifically about the nature of gender relations in the Black community and forms of violence that both genders can suffer from, and the importance of recognizing that even though physical may be the most egregious form, it's certainly a form of abuse that women are more likely to suffer. By no means should we conclude that Black men generally are immune to this in our nervous systems. And I do think that it's quite important for us to consider and to bear that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find a way to diplomatically agree with the observation that emotional and verbal abuse are significant forms of abuse that we also have to acknowledge the need to grow. Everyone, in the end, is as great a person as I may fancy my, and that is true for everyone.
Absolutely.
But you know what, too? The struggle is sometimes it's a little bit more complicated. Like, for example, you're growing up in a project, you're growing up in the hood, right? You got no money. You're out in the streets, you're making money, you're trying to sell. You deal drugs, you get addicted, you drink. When you drink, you become violent. So there's a lot of tentacles to that. There's also addiction that's part of that. Because some people, if they were sober with a clear mind, they can do what Damon said, think clearly and heal and love. But they can't do that if you're under addiction too. It's so complicated.
Well, and the addiction comes a lot of times. Addiction comes from the self-medicating because they're
That's
trying
exactly where it comes from.
Exactly, because they're trying to get through trauma, right, and stress. So they self-medicate through drugs or alcohol or any other substance abuse, and then the domestic abuse, it becomes the result of the self-medicating, and so it's all a continued pattern of addressing the mental needs in our community, because our community is a reflection of the lack of
support services.
Support services, man, and a lot of it is mental, and a lot of it is mental. So we have to have some type of support services, and I'm glad Jamaal is talking on that level, because maybe and as a teacher, he understands, because he sees some of these children that are the result of what we're talking about, and then they have to deal with that, and then growing up to be adults, how do they respond to relationships? I mean, look, it's crazy, because there are going to be generations of children that grow up, and the only way they'll see a family is on TV, right? Well, the sense of family, mother, father,
right.
You understand what I'm saying? That and that was at that time, that's what really made the Cosbys so great in his time, because people did not never seen on TV a professional Black family. Father was a doctor, mother was a lawyer, right? They never saw that. The last time they saw a family was good times, and they was in the projects and poor, and James couldn't feed his family. because he was always losing his job. And then they took the black male out of that because they rather have JJ the buffoon and made him the lead.
And that's how it is today.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Exactly.
Went right back there. Yeah.
And look what they did to the iconic dad, Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby. They did not just attack the actor. They attacked that image that we saw for 10 years on TV. Right? They knew what they were doing. They knew they wasn't going after Bill. They were going after the image that he gave all those years. That's I mean, they still work psychological warfare on black poor people all the time. They still do it. And everybody was crying, put Bill in jail, but nobody was crying Weinstein. Right? Nobody was crying all the other people. Nobody cried Elvis. He did the same thing. Nobody cried Jerry Lee Lewis. Right? Woody Allen.
Woody Allen married his daughter.
Sean Connery that just died. He's on video saying, yeah, he'll slap a woman, he'll slap his wife, and Barbara Walters asked him, do you regret saying that? He said, I'll still do it. I still believe that. And everybody's mourning his death.
I mean, he was a good actor. He was my
favorite. I was disappointed when I saw the video, but
he probably had a couple of martinis before he did that interview. That's why he was twisted, shaken, not stirred.
Bring it back. You see what alcohol does? You see?
Exactly. But we have to have those conversations, man. Sooner or later. We have to be able to have the.
Chuck D, back in the days, they had a record called. Hold on, they had a record called 100 Bottle Bags. And we didn't know what he was talking about. And I sat there and was talking to him one day, and he said, yo, think about any stupid you did in your youth. He said there probably was a bottle of liquor at the beginning of that night. And when he started, he was like, yo, they don't sell it. They specifically sell them in our neighborhoods, which broke down liquor and the waste from all the other beers and all that other stuff. They don't sell that in the white neighborhoods. And he went and he opened my eyes and a lot of other people's eyes to a lot of stuff. And I thought about a couple of the foolish things I did. There was a bottle of malt liquor involved beforehand. And I was like, yo, he opened our eyes to a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, I believe it.
Go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to again relate it back to the broader issue of strategies and the question of where we go from here, that the politics of personal life has a profound impact on our, and one of the reasons I'm deeply regretful to hear so many men express about the fact that our era requires a shift of paradigm and a more conscious working relationship with women, not as superiors, but as co-equals. I've actually participated. I've heard men say to me that they do not think that women are capable of leadership.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
You want me to tell you what? And it's me as an organizer, as a guy who organizes. One of the conclusions I have is almost overwhelmingly the best kind of working relationships that I've had, with few exceptions, with fellow organizers, that too often men have a high-handed, chauvinistic attitude that at least can be traced back to the dominance of the charismatic leader in the form of the Black preacher, who wants to be Lord and indeed be the Lord and Master of the public sphere and organizing as well. and that will not work. And I address myself. Those comments are addressed primarily to men as we think about what that relationship is. Women can be called to ponder and contemplate their own challenges that they may experience and the preconceptions that they have. But I do believe, as a man who has plenty of experience organized, to rethink some of the assumptions that we are making about the nature of leadership that we find in our sisters, and how recognition of that potential and acceptance of equal partnerships made to the progress that has been so long denied us. And we can leave it there because I know we.
Yeah, because you dropped, you did the mic drop. Nobody said nothing afterwards.
Man,
so as we come into the close, go ahead.
No, it just scared. I thought my computer crashed. I didn't hear nothing for a minute.
Right, he just stopped. Like, no. Yo, as we come into the close of the show, any last words, everybody? Any announcements? Anything that they announced going on this week, or coming up, or anything? Any events? Anything people want to bring attention to?
Yeah, just a reminder, if you need a Thanksgiving turkey, hit us up. I'm also I'm gonna be having voter registration cards every time I drop off one, because I think if you're gonna receive, give back, and if you're registered to vote, maybe somebody in your family isn't, and I'll be walking around with voter registrations as well. I'll be registering people and dropping the ballot off at the Board of Elections as well.
That's what's up. That's what's up, Bob. Any last words?
Listen, I just want to urge everyone to get out to the polls. Be sure to vote. We have many tools that are, and we need not disarm ourselves by giving into cynicism and pessimism. We must be bold enough to hope power within reach in order to make the changes that we need to create a more conducive environment for the progressive struggle to move forward. I urge you to get out there, cast your ballot, just like I know all of us here have done, and hopefully to condition the climate that's going to allow us to really continue to struggle after January 17th, when the fight begins again.
Any last words, Damon?
Everybody got to get out and vote. Let's make it happen. Man, I just pray that we get this fool out of the White House so we can have some type of normalcy. I was watching MSNBC, and they were somewhere, man, where they had a country accent. Man, people were coming out for Trump. So let's not get it twisted. They were also
Northern Georgia, I think, because I saw something like that too.
They were also down in Miami.
They're out here in Westchester. They're in Westchester. We have these cars, and they blocked the Cuomo Bridge.
Oh, they did? I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
The Cubans, they voting for Trump, and I'm telling you, a lot of them, a lot of them, they was down in Miami. That the Cuban community and down in Miami-Dade and all that. Them Cubans are going for Trump. I have a friend of mine who's Cuban, a coworker, known him for 30 years. He was in the academy together. We argue for about an hour every morning. and discussing politics, but I love them to death. I don't. They just.
This is what I'm gonna say about that.
That's crazy.
If Florida gets split, and I hope it does, I pray to God that the same people that are saying stuff about the Latinos in Florida give them their props too if they flip it.
No,
because when we do the work, we always get shit on regardless, and maybe that's the problem.
I mean, no, it's more labeling. In talking to my coworker, you just got to label somebody a communist, and that labels, like, and we understand what happened to them under Fidel. We get it, right? But there's
a lot, but the younger ones, the ones that are tightening the race, or the younger Cubans, those are the sons, those are the grandchildren that don't have that mentality. You can't tell an old folk. You can't change an old folks mentality.
No, I hope so. That's all I can say.
But it's not just them, because there's a whole bunch of white people that moved to Florida to retire. That's a retirement state.
No, I agree. It's just, I mean, Florida's going to be Florida's another toss-up, man. I just hope
somebody can still win without it.
I just hope some of these people, I hope some of these people get it, and I hope some of these people get beyond the entertainer Trump, the personality Trump, and really look at his policies. Some people are looking at Trump because they made a lot of money on their 401k, right? So what do people think?
I hear that a lot.
Unions support Trump, but he doesn't like unions. Like these police unions, he doesn't like unions, and these police unions go and they support this man, and he doesn't even like unions. He doesn't even like collective bargaining agreements. He hates labor unions like this, but they're supporting him just for white supremacy. I mean, that's what that's about. But anyway, let's just get out and vote. I'm going out on the 3rd.
Absolutely.
I'm not, and I hope there's no lines like it was all for the last 2 weeks. Most likely
there'll be more polling places open.
Oh, there's gonna be lines.
Yeah, well, there's more polling.
The Republicans are coming out November 4th.
November 4th.
I mean November 3rd.
They come out November 4th.
November 3rd.
Yeah, I hope they come out. Oh, they
November 4th.
Come out November 4th.
November 3rd. Because last year was November 4th, and I still got that in my hand.
I hope they
November 3rd.
So
a year later.
So as we close down the show, Damon and I spoke Pace Universalism class. The video is on Black Westchester if you want to check it. Tomorrow, catch Damon and I on the Black Westchester Power Hour on WVOX, 11 a.m. And tomorrow, speaking to intro to journalism class at Manhattanville College. I don't know if it'll be videoed or not. So we're working, and this is finishing up the paper this week, so it'll be out next week. With that's it. You could be doing anything else you do not to ride with us, and we greatly appreciate it. This has been another home edition of Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show. And with that, we're out.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.